this up. Our personality allows us to hear a certain way. Hearing can be a revelation of ourselves. Hearing can be a revelation of who we are, where we've come from, where we've been. I got a chance, the whole family, matter of fact, we went on the Great Florida Cattle Drive. We were on a drive with 500 head of cows, 500 cowboys, and about a dozen cow hunters leading the herd. The last night of the drive, we're sitting there, it's about 38 degrees. The guys are cooking steaks out there, cooking for 500 cowboys, hungry cowboys. We're sitting out there, it's cold, and this is the Florida prairie now. I mean, we were in primitive camping. It was just on the ground in a tent or wherever. A friend of mine who was 82 years old, Willard Reddit, grown up a cow working, about 3 generations worth of cow hunters there. I saw Willard there one night, and I said, Willard, where are you pitching your tent? He goes, over there. I don't see a tent. He goes, I'm just sleeping under that tree. Willard Reddit, 80-something years old, slept underneath a tree for 3 nights of the cattle drive. The last night it was so cold he slept in somebody's horse trailer. Hello? And I'm in a tent with a mattress, okay? No, the last night of the cattle drive, we're sitting there, we're eating steak. And I'm really concerned about the kids and Suzanne maybe being a little miserable. We sit down to eat, we're all bundled up, and I look over at my daughter's plate. And they put steaks on the plate about the size of this Bible. Her steak is gone. And Clay's eating up, and Suzanne and I we're really enjoying this. Well, about a month later, we went out to one of the steak restaurants in Orlando, Outback or something, and Devin's like eating the steak. She's got utensils, she's got knives, she's cutting. Takes a bite. I was like, what's the matter? She goes, it just doesn't taste like the steak we had on the cattle drive. Now, if we go to restaurants, we go to a restaurant there in Asheville, she compares every steak we eat now to the steak we ate out in the middle of the Florida prairie, 10 miles from any civilization, with plastic knives and forks. We ate that steak, but she compares what we had there. Now, there's an experience. And that's where Jesus is going to take you. He'll take you out in the middle of somewhere, and he will feed you such a message and such a plan for your life, and you'll go, man, I've been trying to do all this over here, man. I've been plugging things in. I've got me a cell phone. I've got me a BlackBerry. I've got me a laptop computer. I've got a hookup in my car. I'm wireless. I'm Wi-Fi. Man, I am ready to rock and roll. I can do lots of stuff with God. Just look at me. I must be a cowboy. He goes, no. I want you to go talk to these folks over here at the Ranch Horse Association. Here's a Cowboy Church over here. Here's a little rodeo going on over here. There might be a dozen people there on a Sunday morning. But those dozen people need to hear the message of Jesus Christ because they can't be in church on a Sunday morning because many times these folks ride. That's their living. That's how they make their living, is riding and rodeoing. Jesus said, my sheep hear my voice. They hear it because they love the shepherd. They hear it because they love the shepherd. In John chapter 14, verse 6, Jesus says this, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Not me, Jesus. Nobody comes to the Father except for Jesus Christ. Have you heard his voice? Have you been hearing him talk to you? Has he been just putting something on your heart and you're going, man, I'm hooked up. I got a cell phone. I got me a computer. I'm good at what I do. I'm top dog at my job. I boss lots of folks around. Or I'm comfortable where I'm at. I like exactly where I am. I don't really need a whole lot more. Why God might even be calling a church right here up here on Bald Mountain to reach out to people that have never been reached out to before. Being inside of a church is something God takes me to, but more often than not, he takes me outside these walls of this place. Because guess what, ladies and gentlemen? People are not walking through the door of a church like they used to. Because of the young people, the generations of families not going to church, People are not walking through the doors of the church because they see God's Word as irrelevant. They see God's Word as, well, that's a nice book, but how does that apply to my life? And my gosh, how can I listen to such a violent message of a holy man crucified? God would crucify His Son. He would allow that to happen? Man, don't you know that had to happen to save us? And God sent His Son Jesus because He loves us so much. He loves us so much that He wants to know us in a personal way. He wants to know you and you and you in a personal way. And if we just if we just shut down the ears that listen with prejudices or agendas, shut those ears down and listen with the spiritual ear where God says, you know what, there's a community all around us of people. There's a lot of churches today that don't have the amount of people I had show up at the Ranch Horse Association Cowboy Church last week. Suzanne and I being kicked out of churches with 4 people there. Walked into one church, we preached for about 4 Sundays, and they said, don't come back. And I was like, why? Well, we're comfortable the way we are. There's 3,000 new people right down the street that they just built a brand new neighborhood down there. Let's go reach them. Well, I'm not sure that we want all those new folks down here. They might want to play something with a guitar and a bass and a drummer or something up here. Oh my gosh. Those are the ears we got to turn off. We have to turn off the ears that have, the prejudice or the agenda, because to reach people, it's not the guitar and the bass drum that are going to reach them. It's not all that, but we can draw them in, and you know what? They're going to hear God's Word by a man of God. They're going to hear God's Word from every one of y'all. Bring people in, and there's ways to bring them in and let them hear God's message. It's not a commercial. It's not an advertisement. It's not a show. It's God's Word, and we have to be ready and equipped to go out and share that message with them. You've got to just be ready to go out and do it. Can you hear it? How many of y'all remember the sound of the old steam locomotives coming through Swannanoa Valley? When I lived in Swannanoa, they still have steam engines come through there when I was a kid. And then when we moved out behind Warren Wilson College, I could hear the whistle from Beacon blow all the way out there 6 miles away. Man, what a sound. How many of y'all like the sound of a steam locomotive blows that whistle, man? You can hear that. What a sound. That's power. I mean, just to say that gives me chills right now. Imagine tuning into God that way, where you stand on a hill somewhere and you just talk to God and let Him work on you right there and then. Let Him work on you. And you begin to hear God's call through your life. You begin to hear God's message from what you've read in His Word. All of a sudden a verse comes up in your mind. I don't remember that. That's God. That's God talking to you. He wants to talk to you. You have to be willing to listen. You've got to be willing to listen. Put away the agendas. Put away the distractions. And allow God to talk to you. Is God talking to you today?